this weekend.
Oh, by the way, this is Plausible Deniability. I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Brooke Bullock.
Yeah, and Johnny's not here. Yeah, I think he's moving or something.
It's time to come clean. I think I should let you guys know that it just became too hard for Johnny and I to share the same body. So the whole Dr. Clone thing, of being two people at the same, it messes with the multiverse.
The bi-generation, actually, yes, okay.
Yep. So we can now no longer be in the same place at the same time. So,
speaking of which, Doctor Who starts on May 11th.
I know. I'm so excited. Especially when you look at the team they've put together of writers. It gives me some hope that, because the last two Doctor Who's, fantastic actors, incredible actors, and the storylines just weren't there. Yeah. And so I really, really hope they bring it, and it should be quote unquote wonderful. So
yeah. And Ncuti Gatwa looks fabulous. So, I mean, he's incredible. So, really. So, anyway, I'm sorry. I interrupted. What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, so this weekend, I actually, in a way, have a free weekend, sort of. And I'm super excited about it because it's May the 4th.
Yep.
And it's also free comic book day.
I know. It's amazing. There's a lot of things. We're going to talk about a little bit about Star Wars Day and Free Comic Book Day in a little bit. I actually, I am very excited. I'm going to be actually playing 3 different D&D games within 24 hours.
Sweet.
Friday night, we'll have our Fandelver game, which just started last Friday night. So we're very excited about that. Saturday morning, we'll be recording Red Dirt Outlaws. You can catch Red Dirt Outlaws right here on the YouTube's channel on Red Dirt D&D, awesome. Red Dirt RPG. They come out Tuesday at noon. So we'll be recording that Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon, we're running through Empire of the Ghouls, which has been our Saturday group that we've had since 2018. Yeah. We usually do it in the evenings. We're moving to afternoons so that I can go do something Saturday night with my wife for Star Wars Day.
Sweet.
And then Sunday, I'm going to a baseball game.
My goodness.
I know. It's a crazy. I got to play D&D and then all of a sudden care about sports on Sunday.
That there are people that talk about it, and evidently in other parts of the world, that's a very unique Venn diagram. But yet all the people that I, at least, of a certain age, shall we say, that works. Like some of my best friends that have played with since high school, and just a tight gaming group that maybe once a year we are able to get together, but involved in sports. We love martial arts, and we love football and things like that. You of course do know sports and do sports and continue that with watching some high school football that your family is involved in, and
yeah.
And but I guess in other venues, those two don't. I get it.
No, you're right in the Venn diagram, and it's Derek Rusnick, who is a patron member, and I play with him on Saturdays. He has a sports podcast, so he has so there is a Venn diagram, and the people who like sports and geeky stuff. It's very small, but there are a few of us. I don't really get into sports outside of the games. Like, I don't watch Sports Center. I don't keep track of stats or anything. During a game, though, I like sitting down and watching a game. It's kind of fun. So I can, and especially with the Thunder right now in the playoffs. They've passed the first round of the playoffs. Very excited for them. They could go all the way to the finals. Would love to see that. That'd be just amazing. So very excited about the Thunder right now.
Very, very, very much so. It's things not even on our list, boys and girls. We're on a sports tangent for a second. But yeah, and I will say that I am kind of like the person who had their heart broken for the first time, and now there's a new love, but you're just not sure how much of yourself you want to give.
Yeah.
Because what if Shay or some of the others, what if they decide to do the Durant thing and leave us again?
But the only thing is I was sitting. Now, here's the thing. I've been following sports my whole life, and let me tell you, there are people who were like, Durant's, he's so amazing. We love Durant. He's, he is Oklahoma City. I'm like, you know what? Stop that. You can support your team. Do not support the players. Because even if Durant went all the way through his career, he will at some time either retire or die. So you cannot worship the players. You can have the team, you can support the team, but just realize the players are ephemeral. Regardless of whether they stay, whether they leave, whether they die, whether they retire, they will not be the end all and be all of the team. You just got to realize that.
100%. 100%. Except I do want to say I still have an affinity for the beard.
Yeah.
The beard. I understand again why James Harden went. That's exactly what you're talking about. He got to be the face of a franchise.
Yeah.
And I understand his choices. Yeah. I didn't mind his choices. And he's, it was just a magic time. And I think Oklahoma City's on the verge of recapturing it again.
I think
that magic time.
I think right? plus the youngest team to ever make a number one seed in the NBA. They're incredible. But see, I didn't when Durant left, I was like, I knew it was going to happen. He's too good. It was when Westbrook left. That one broke my heart.
Yeah.
When Westbrook left, I was like, dude, where are you going? No. I know he's LA. He's an LA kid. So, but anyway, this is not about sports.
Also about utility, all
about sports. We should hashtag sports with a question mark. Okay. Yay. Somebody did something with the ball. You guys are fantastic. Yeah, I know, Aiden. We're gonna talk WotC in just a moment because.
Oh man, I tell you what. Talking about maybe like Harden, he left and kept. I'm gonna make a connection. I promise. Harden, he left and but did it in a way that wasn't hurtful. Westbrook, he left in a way that didn't seem to hurt.
Yeah.
As much and maybe that was because Durant had already left, so we had already had that breakup. If one of those guys had been first, maybe we would have felt differently about them. But it feels like Durant could have.
It was handled badly. It was handled very badly.
Right.
Yes.
He just could have done better in leaving, and maybe his PR people are working for Wizards of the Coast now because what is going on with these people?
Oh my gosh! Oh, I have no idea. Okay.
Like. How many times, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't gone to Twitter, Mike in the Morning, and seen the post that Michael Cross, calm, cool, collected, the man's a duck.
Yeah.
Just, paddling like heck underneath, but on the surface, he's a journalist. Everything's cool. You do not like this decision, Michael Cross.
I do not. Here's the thing. My thing with DnDBeyond goes way back to the very beginning in 2017 when I started playing. And here's one of the things that I loved about it was I was playing Tyranny of Dragons with my son, Aiden. We were playing, and I had gotten Hazaron, it's a flaming sword, and I was very excited about it, but I wanted to add to my DnDBeyond character. Well, I didn't want to buy the Horde of the Dragon Queen book necessarily. And our DM said, "Oh, just go in there and you can click on just that. You can just buy that for $1.99, and it adds to your." And I'm like, "Fabulous!" Now. Eventually, I did end up buying them all. I bought them in the bundle. I bought the Adventurers bundle, so I've got because I paid so much. Eventually, that price went down. Now, in its infinite wisdom, WotC. Who, let me tell you, okay, first off, before we get there, I have been supportive of WotC through the OGL. I was sitting there going, Dave, I'm going to support WotC. I'm not going to be mad at him. Through the AI art thing, I was like, I'm not going to, it happens, mistakes happen. Through the, what was that other big one that happened?
The Haduze thing with the blatant racism that just didn't get caught.
Yeah, mistakes happen, and there were so many things that the sending out the Pinkertons detectives.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I'm like, okay, again, I'm like, no, you know what? People make mistakes. That was a ridiculous, and okay, fine. But they have taken out a la carte. They have taken out the bundles. So, and it found out the other day, it was Friday night during Fandelver. Again, we're making these characters, and my friend wanted to make a Vulpin from the the Humblewood books, and we looked it up. And he's like, I'm just gonna get the Vulpin, and I was like, yeah, you can just get that on the a la carte thing. And it's like, nope, you can't do that. You have to buy the entire book for $50. And we thought maybe that was the Humblewood thing. Then I started looking into it, and it's everything now. They have gotten rid of all the a la carte. You cannot buy anything a la carte. You have to spend $50 to get this book. I'm like, why? Why? And I even defended them when they were saying everyone was complaining that they're going to be piecemeal. They're going to allow to they're going to nickel and dime you. And I'm like, well, that's fine. They've always done that, and I've liked the fact that they've done that. The fact that if I want to add something like
$5 on the $50 book by buying all the $1.99 things,
well,
right?
And what was great though, I loved about it was when you bought $1.99, the price of the entire book went down by $1.99.
That's true.
That's why when I bought book, and when it finally said, okay, you can buy the Adventurers bundle, I think I bought it for like $125 every book, because I bought so many books that it brought the price down. That's fabulous.
There's no one that was just goes listening to this man right now. Like, that's how you make business. Even drug dealers know the first one's free.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, and here's the thing. I've said many times, Wizards of the Coast, you want to make money, make me your CEO.
Exactly.
First off, don't get rid of this. So here's the thing. So I went on to the Homebrew, and I found the Vulpin in Homebrew. Added it to my stuff. So now I messaged my friend on my Friday night group. I said I just downloaded the Vulpin Homebrew, and by the way, it is almost word for word what you get in the book. So now that it's in my Homebrew, he can now use it. I said just go ahead and do that. What he had done last week was reskin a Tabaxi.
Right.
So because we're certainly not going to spend $50. So he's going to use the Homebrew, and so Wizards makes no money.
No money.
They don't even make the $1.99 for the a la carte. Come on,
and
people.
You feel good about it too, right? You're like, yeah.
I don't. I mean, Ruffles had posted on our Discord about I've come to ruin DnDBeyond. I'm like, I don't think they're trying to.
Right.
But, oh my gosh, it is, and I'm really hoping still. That this is about Hasbro. I'm really hoping this is about Hasbro and not about WotC.
It feels that way, right? It feels that it's the corporate guys telling the second guy, you got to do this. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And again, the corporate guys who don't have a clue, who don't have, that's the other reason why I don't think it's WotC, because WotC's smarter than this. If it is them, if Wizards of the Coast is the one doing this, they call themselves wizards. The only way I can figure they're wizards is they're wizards who took intelligence as a dump stat. That's the only way this is possible.
That is fantastic. That's going on the short reel right there. I promise you, boys and girls, that's going to show up.
It is so frustrating. So, folks, here's the way around. Homebrew has gotten so big in there, and many people are out there making the homebrew stuff. So if there's something in the books that you want, don't give them any money. Just don't. I give them a subscription, and I bought many of the books, so I'll still have those. And I have a subscription so that I can have my campaigns and stuff. I'm a DM subscription. I can have multiple players. Just go to your homebrew, search for it, and then just go and put both your screens up and make sure that they are as even as possible. If you find one that is almost word for word, just add it to your homebrew collection and then take it. It's done. Don't give Wizards of the Coast any more money. This is.
I even wonder if corporate would know if you just copy and paste and then throw it in there. I mean, sure, there's probably some key phrases, some key words.
Yeah, so I would say go through homebrew, because some people have figured out how to. Because yes, you cannot make a homebrew, or you can't make a homebrew to share on the screen that is the same as that is already something that's published.
Gotcha.
So, but this one, they worded something, they made something, they titled it differently to where. It was still, again, almost exactly word for word, but and I'm pretty sure you can find every weapon, every and tons of almost any third party stuff is in there. Almost every Kobold Press stuff is in there. So
oh wow,
yeah. So
I teased you about that in a roundtable upcoming with the from Tales of the Ironwoods with the dandelion,
yeah,
right? That
no, the
then
dandelion's actually at Tasha's.
yeah,
Yeah.
which then makes sense because Tasha is it's a little bit of a
Yes, it's a
some
little,
things in
yeah.
Tasha's are OP, and I was just teasing you about it whenever we got done with that fight, and then the dandelion like heals everybody with and I was like, what? Did you make this up yourself? Like what third party kobold press thing did you find and sneak in here?
No,
Oh,
it was I think the dandelion was a maybe I think it is a like Monsters of the Multiverse creature. I'm not really sure. Now, and yes, Andrew, you can make online copies of every book, but to be able to put them into D&D Beyond, and the beauty of D&D Beyond is that's where my characters are. That's where my
right.
campaigns are. That's where all my stuff is.
It's like the Earth. It's where I keep all my stuff.
Now, of course, this is just another argument for me. I say, go back to pencil and paper, folks. D&D Beyond, if you want to use it for character creation, that's great, but put everything on it in pencil and paper. All of my AL characters are in a big, huge folder. Adventures League, by the way, if you don't know what Adventures League is. Tuesday nights at Edmund Unplugged. Go see it. It's fun. All my Adventures League characters are on pencil and paper. WotC's frustrated me. They finally did it. And all the people who know that I was completely and totally defense. Oh yeah, Ruffles and Falcor. We don't talk about that website, which is no longer in existence. It's sad.
Yeah.
We won't mention that.
The Wayback Machine still works though.
That's true. It does. Yeah. But still, you gotta know. You gotta know where to. It's not as easy as that website was. But we won't talk about that.
I tell you what.
But
I tell you what.
So yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping they bring it back. Now, here's the thing. This just happened, and just like with the OGL, just like with other things, there is so much vitriol right now and anger towards Wizards of the Coast and anger towards Hasbro that I'm really thinking they might bring it back. But
and again, it would be interesting to see. I mean, we've seen those charts, those line graphs of sales doing this, and part of that was COVID. I get it, but then they make that OGL decision, and it's just chakung, stock price tanks. Everybody starts pulling their subscriptions, speaking with your pocketbook. I mean, again, I don't know how many of us can still do that if we still have subscriptions there. And then also, I don't know, the question would be, if I cancel, do I lose my stuff that I already have?
I know, and I would really fear about doing that.
Right?
I mean, if you're out there and you don't have that much invested in Wizards of the Coast, maybe do cancel your subscription. But I couldn't. I've got that would because I've got my son's characters, I've got my wife's characters, I've got my characters all on there, and I would hate to, play other TTRPGs, folks.
Oh, I mean, it hurts, but right,
And I was the one who I fought for D&D.
How long are you going to stay with a bad relationship?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How many times do I have to be in this domestic violence? I mean, it's awful. But
I wasn't going to bring this part of it up necessarily, but it's too good of a segue not to miss out on. And then I don't think it's just my phone listening. Then also today, Paizo announces their new director of marketing, and the picture of her is her in her office, all these books back behind her, which, by the way, some of them are D&D books sitting right there behind her, but she's in cosplay in her office chair, and it's just like, as I said to Michael in a text, I said, tell me your company is run by gamers without telling me your company is run by gamers, right?
Exactly. I wish I liked Pathfinder. It's just too chunky for me. If it were as simple as 5e, but there are other games. There's Cyberpunk's out there. If you really want to really get into the role play, there's Vampire the Masquerade. If you want to do some other fantasy stuff, Critical Role, they've got their new system out. I hate to say go to other fantasy stuff, but boy,
often, now I haven't played with it yet or really dove into it, but Cobalt Press after the OGL has launched Tales of the Valiant or the Valiant, and I've heard good things about it. I haven't looked into it myself, but it evidently hits that sweet spot of creativity and options, but simplicity. Yeah. So, but it may be a good one too.
And of course, D&D, D&D Beyond, for what it's worth, I'm just no longer. I'm not really sure if I'm really caring. I still love D&D. Don't get me wrong, folks.
Right.
I'm bashing Wizards of the Coast. I'm bashing Hasbro just as much as I bashed Gary Gygax in the '80s. Okay, the game of D&D is it's my love. It's my first love. It will always be my first love. D&D is a wonderful game, and I love the setting of it. I love the monsters. I love everything about it. So maybe it's just time, and maybe they'll go to another edition, and I can just go, you know what? I'll just keep playing my 5th edition and not worry about it anyway. So,
right? I mean, so much potential with D&D 1, right? So much potential to just have this kind of ever evolving, compatible series. And again, I just maybe it was you. Somebody said, why can't WotC just buy themselves back out from Hasbro and do this thing right again?
Yeah. I would love to do that. Or if WotC couldn't do it, let's have somebody come in and do it. Let's have someone who actually cares about gaming, because Hasbro doesn't care about gaming. Hasbro cares about money. They're a toy company. I mean, they're obviously a toy company. They make cartoons based on toys to sell you the toys. They make 30-minute long commercials. Hasbro is the corporate giant that everyone fears and hates. Get rid of them. Let WotC buy itself out, or have Paizo come in and buy WotC, please.
Wouldn't that be like, it's kind of how like Coke and Pepsi own all the other beverages like Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew and stuff like that? How crazy would that be to have Paizo owning both Pathfinder and D&D?
Oh my gosh.
That's, pardon my French, that's a crazy idea.
Yeah. I would love that. Of course, it'd probably have to go through some monopoly thing in Congress, because it's like you would own the 2 biggest role-playing games in existence. But I would feel safe. And that's why I said I love Paizo as a company. I'm not a big fan of Pathfinder. Again, too chunky. But boy, if Paizo owned D&D, I would feel safe. I would feel safe and secure and know that it was being done right.
It is what I mentioned this in the past before. The fact that playing those first sessions, getting into the lore from Pathfinder and that Paizo was putting out, right? It felt like Greyhawk. Only it was modern Greyhawk, right? And that was the thing that put the love of the system first into me, was they were world building and things mattered. Mm-hmm. And that's why I first fell in love. And then all the options which were really the options of 3rd edition, where my wizard didn't have to be like every other wizard, right? I could take a feat and create, he could use I could build Gandalf.
Yeah, when it came to the story building and the world building, gorgeous. I love Paizo stuff. That's why I totally trust. But again, Pathfinder, it's the system that just kind of makes me, every time I look at it, I'm like, the book's that big. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do with this. So but anyway.
Yep. Ruffles, I don't know that we'll get to trivia tonight with just the 2 of us, but hang on for the survey later.
Yes. And definitely, so if you're interested in trivia, I'm really still hoping that we're going to be able to do some at SoonerCon. So keep an ear out for that. SoonerCon is coming up next month. Very excited, folks. If I was thinking about this earlier. I was going to say, if you are in Central Oklahoma, I think it's the 3rd week of June. It's the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, 21, 22, 23. If you're in Central Oklahoma, come to this. But I don't want to say that. You know why? If you're in Japan, get to Oklahoma on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. You will want to come to this convention. Folks, SoonerCon, it's not your big Dragon Con or San Diego Comic Con or whatever. That's what's beautiful about it. SoonerCon
Right.
is a convention for geeks, made by geeks, the way geeks want it to be done. It is not a sellout like San Diego Con. It's not a big, huge, massive thing like Dragon Con. It is a very simple, home-created geek convention where we've got cosplay, we've got artists, we've got D&D, and this year's theme is fantasy. And did you see who our main artist, our main star is?
Yes.
Folks,
I
tell
still
him.
hope he's okay with. I still hope he's okay with Atriox. I mean, I really hope that he's healed from that, and it wasn't as bad for him as an actor as it was for us.
Oh, I'm sure he's probably over. It's Noah Hathaway, who played Atreyu in Neverending Story. And yes, Artax, when Artax goes into that, it's still to this day, Artax, it just breaks your heart, But he is coming to SoonerCon, and we've got a whole bunch of other great guests, great cosplayers,
Yes.
great panels. We got to because we are guests, regular guests. We got to fill out the kind of the panel choices, kind of a yes or no. Do we want to be on this panel or not? Lots of great ones, especially fantasy. Oh my gosh, because it's fantasy, so there's so many D&D panels. I said Aiden was like, wasn't sure if he was going to do any. I said, dude, look at these. There's so many great DM panels. There are going to be some DM panels out there. They're going to blow your mind about world building, about how to add improv and especially things to your DMing. Those weren't much for me because although I do DM,
Right.
Aiden's oh my gosh, guys, wait till you hear Red Dirt in the next few weeks. Aiden's phenomenal. His ability to take whatever we throw at him and just make up something on the spot. He's incredible. So, what was the panels that you saw that you were interested in?
Oh man, so I agree. This year, I haven't said anything publicly, but even to my wife, I was like, look at this list. Like, look at these panels. Like, these are things that almost anybody would enjoy going to. There's great things from anime and Avatar and K-pop things all the way up to fantasy movies of the 80s.
I know. I'm really. If anyone can get out to let Aslan know that I think Johnny, Brook, and I really need to be on this panel. It's
we 100% need to be on this panel.
It's movies of the 80s. It is the good, bad, and ugly of movies of the 80s, and it's like
we've been doing that for different shows for like 2 years now.
So, I saw that one. I thought that is without a doubt. That's the one I'm driven to.
And they've got some ridiculous fun one too. Like actually is making a second appearance, and there was one that I think this would just be fantastic. It's called it's basically what does it taste like, and so it's like everything here. If we don't know what it tastes like, we're like, it kind of tastes like chicken. But like in a fantasy world, what does dragon taste like? What does Displacer Beast taste like? What does that seems like that will be a very ridiculously fun panel as well. So.
Have you seen Delicious in Dungeon yet?
I have not.
That's where it comes from. And let me tell you, Delicious in Dungeon, it is a true Dungeons and Dragons anime. Whoever made Delicious in Dungeon has played Dungeons and Dragons, our Dungeons and Dragons, because it is Dungeons and Dragons. And they go down there, and of course, when you think of the old first edition Dungeons and Dragons, when you had to go into the dungeon and then you had to get back to town to get food, to get supplies, that's where they're like, we can't go back to town to get food and supplies, so they take this cook down there who just makes all this wonderful food. It's a great show. I highly recommend. It's on Netflix. Delicious in Dungeon. It's so good. And that's where this is based off of. There were so many good panels, and I highly recommend SoonerCon, folks. I don't know where you are right now, wherever you are. You've got about a month and a half to get ready for this. I think there are still hotel rooms available. They usually get the hotel across as well, the Holiday Inn across. So all you have to do is walk across the street. No big deal. And I mean, it's not a busy street. It's just like just regular. Yeah. Just come right on over. So there's going to be plenty of space. Come down because SoonerCon is huge. And again, if you want to see what a convention is like that hasn't been taken over by movie companies and big, huge corporate stuff.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit. It is the Future Society of Oklahoma just being geeks and talking about being geek stuff.
It's almost as if it's run by people who care about the content.
I know. So much better than the one previous we were talking about. WotC. I just want a meme of me just doing that. WotC.
For our folks in the Discord, our patrons, I have put together. It's not fantastic, but it's funny to me. I've put together a little thing that we were gonna share here, but we were getting reverb on my computer when we tried to do that. But it's a little clip that I think will embody that rage of you did what? You did what? So. And then, in a few days, we'll share it with everybody. But Patreon members are going to get that first in the Discord. So
yeah. Okay. So this weekend.
Yeah, May 4th, this weekend.
I know, May the 4th. I don't think so it's got to have happened recently, I'm sure. But it's not in my memory. Free Comic Book Day is every first Saturday of May. Yes. And so I'm sure that May the 4th be with you has fallen on Free Comic Book Day before as well.
Matt would say like 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I think it repeats the actual calendar repeats every 14 years. So
there we go.
But I'm sure it's happened quite often, but still love it. May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Some theaters are running the entire 9 movies for the day.
Like 13 hours worth of content or 14 hours worth of content, something like that.
Now, in 2003, there was when Return of the King came out, they were doing a special where they showed the uncut versions of Fellowship of the Rings, Two Towers, and then for the premiere, Return of the King. I had seen this. I saw it the morning of. And I'm like, this looks really cool. And then I started looking. It was obviously sold out. There's no tickets. I even called up a friend. I said, hey, this is going on. He goes, there's no tickets. You could go online. You go to eBay. You can find them maybe for like $1,500, $2,000.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like, oh, well, no. But I'm going to go down there anyway. What I was going to go down there for was I just wanted to see what was going on. Because it would be kind of cool to see people who were there to see, all 3 movies. See if there were anyone dressed up. And then I was going to go ahead and buy my tickets because I was going to go to the premiere that night. There was no way I was missing the premiere night of, Return of the King. But I go there and I go up to the front and I said, I just thought I'd check. Has anyone turned in any tickets? They weren't available or anything. At that moment, a woman walks up and says, my son can't come. Is there any way I can sell this ticket back? And I said, I'll buy it. She goes, $25. Folks, I bought that was the original price of the 3 movies to see the 3 movies. $25. I got the tickets. I got to go in. I watched all 3 movies. When you bought a bucket of popcorn, that was your bucket of popcorn for the entire day. You could constantly get refills. If you bought a cup, you could fill that with soda all day long. And like hot dogs were like $1 or $1.25 or something like that. So I spent 12 hours at Quail Springs Mall. Watching, of course, the best movies of all time. Fellowship of the Rings, Two Towers, Return of the King.
100%. 100%. Wait, Michael, just to kick a dead horse, did they let you buy the...
Did they... What? Say that again.
Did they let you buy the hot dogs a la carte?
Yes. Yeah. I was allowed to spend $1.99 on my hot dog instead of making me spend $50 for the entire machine to make my own hot dog.
I am a terrible person. I'm getting so much joy out of we are seeing the straw breaking the back now.
And have I mentioned they got rid of bundles?
Bixby can't stand it anymore, and Michael's eye is gone.
I know. I just open up your window and say, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore." And I told you. Did I mention they got rid of bundles too? Did I mention that? There's the other stupid thing, they got rid of bundles. Okay. Anyway. So, Star Wars Day. That's going to go on. I think I think there's some people who are just going to be watching some movies. So if you had to pick 9 movies, just let's go with the movies because watching the TV shows would take too long. Just the 9 movies.
Yeah.
You got one. Brooke, you got one movie. Which one are you picking? I know. And I'll leave it up to the chat as well. What would you guys choose? What would be your one movie?
So we haven't had a countdown in a while. I know that my one movie is not going to be any of the prequels.
Right. Now, and prequels are so funny because it's been long enough to where some of the prequels I've actually kind of like my opinion of Phantom Menace will never change. I've watched it, but compared to maybe the sequels,
I liked Force Awakens. I like that moment when we see Luke, and I'm like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say that Episode 8 ruined my childhood, but
now see, I was the total opposite. I thought The Last Jedi was phenomenal. To me, The Last Jedi was so good. It was what ruined it was J.J. Abrams being a butt. He basically said, "Oh, I'll do the first movie, but I'm not going to do any others." Like, well,
right.
you can't.
Why would you
can't.
Do that?
Yeah, you can't do that. And then pull a George Lucas and go, "Oh, well, that's horrible. I would never do it like that." It's like, well, you didn't. You chose not to. Ergo, you lose all rights to say anything. You don't get any rights at anything, and that's all George Lucas has ever done since he sold it. It's like, well, I would never have done that. Like, well, you didn't do anything.
Yep.
So you don't have any rights. And then J.J. Abrams coming back and trying to fix all the things that he did and basically erase everything that was done in it was horrible. It was just horribly done. If J.J. Abrams had run the whole thing, we might have had a decent sequel. But it was horribly done. J.J. Abrams, so many times that guy makes me mad. But at least doesn't make me, get rid of the a la carte stuff. So...
the chat is agreeing with my default. I think you have to see Empire on the big screen again.
I think
right?
you do. Without a doubt.
I know it's the default, but
and can you imagine seeing that with somebody who's never seen Star Wars before? I mean, I think they would have to watch Star Wars. I think they have to watch A New Hope first. But I mean, are there people out there who don't know that reveal at the end of Empire Strikes Back?
There are definitely kids because you see like the reaction movie where mom and dad are showing it to them for the first time when they're like 9 or 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
There are some people who have never seen Star Wars, but they know, they know the reveal. But I tell you what, I mean, and we've talked about this in the past too. Back in our day, when then you had to wait 2 years to find out. Yeah. And you're like, Vader must have been lying. He must have been lying to mess with his head, right?
Yeah. See, my dad called it right after Empire Strikes Back because when we talked about when Yoda says there's another as he's flying off to Ben, my dad said it's Leia. I was like, because he said because he knows. I mean, my dad knows literature. He knows how to He says you wouldn't introduce a character that no one's seen before. It's got to be someone. Now, Lucas has since said that it wasn't. We weren't certain if it was going to be who it was going to be until later on. They finally picked it as Leia. But yeah, like I said, my dad picked it right off the bat. So, but the surprise ending.
You say that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well,
no, you go.
The surprise ending, the surprise reveal of Vader at the end of Empire Strikes Back. At that time, for people who don't know what it was like to be in the theater and have that reveal, was the biggest reveal of all time. I mean, take The Sixth Sense and all the other any movie you can think of with some kind of surprise reveal, multiply it by 500. That's what the Vader reveal at the end of Empire Strikes Back was like for us when we were younger in the theater.
Oh yeah. It was the not shock as in we were like angry or mad or that kind of shock, but it's kind of like it's similar to Marvel when Captain America picks up the hammer, right? Everybody goes bonkers with joy and exuberance, and they're just excited, and it's what we've been waiting for 7 movies to see, is Captain America with the hammer, because he's worthy, right? And so it was that kind of thing, not joy, not satisfaction, but that kind of intensity, only with like, oh my God, like holy moly, right? And part of that is, let me do math real quick. Part of that is 10-year-old me, who wasn't a Boy Scout, but inside was a Boy Scout, right? Yeah. Who loved paladins, like, in early D&D, thinking that can't be. The bad guy can't be the good guy's dad. That can't be. Knowing how perfectly it fits.
Yeah, but it's what you saw in the cave. It's what you saw in the cave when all of a sudden it was Luke's face in the mask. It was like it was all together. And here's the thing, folks. Also to understand is that when Empire came out, and it's still kind of the same way today, but it was really bad back then. Sequels were just carbon copies of the original. That's what they did. Because if the original was so big and so great, well, a carbon copy of that would be just as great. Or they'd make it bigger. They just, But Empire did something that no other sequel was doing at the time, and that is making something truly unique, a brand new story that no one. And so when the ending. Oh yeah, well, but you already had Hoth, and you had you'd split the party. You had one going to Dagobah and one going through asteroids, and it was like, what is going on here? It was not what you saw in Star Wars. It was a totally unique, different storyline, and then that final battle where you knew Luke was in over his head. You knew he was. There was no way he should be there in the first place.
Nope.
And then that to happen, and then for his final sacrifice,
lose a hand. Oh.
So you're right. Ruffles and Falcor, absolutely right. Everybody, I think everyone's answer to this is because you'd have to go with the original trilogy, and Empire, without a doubt, is the one that, to this day, the special effects are still phenomenal. And it's so funny because whenever they talk about some of the special stuff that Lucas added in the special editions back in the 90s, and Empire is one of those that got very few. It got some touch ups for things like the Cloud City. There were some things in those, but those just enhanced it. That didn't really do it. They just enhanced it. He didn't add any scenes. For the most part, Empire stayed by itself as just the perfect movie. And when it comes to that reveal at the end, that's been copied so many times because it is in either parody or real.
Right.
It's going to live on in infamy, that reveal at the end. So, and I'm trying not to spoil it just in case anybody has not seen it or does not know. Almost 50 years later. Oh my gosh, no, well, 40 years later. Yeah, 44 years later. I was 11 years old, and my life was never going to be the same. When my son was growing up, I think he was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and I'd ask him for a number 1 through 6, and that's the movie he would watch. It's like, I'm kind of in the movie for 2. Okay, so we'll put in the clones. So he's watched them from the beginning, and so to him there's no surprises. We saw in the movie theater, we saw the sequels, but now, of course, the television series are the ones that everyone's watching. There's a new one coming out. Talk to us about this new series coming out in June.
There's 2 things coming, and I think they're back to back. I think one is here in May and the other one is June, or maybe it's June and July. One of them is animated, and it's Tales of the Empire, and it looks great. It's an animated thing, and it looks fantastic. It's going to be really, really great. But there's a live action coming called The Acolyte. And talking about watching people who haven't seen something, before we started streaming, Michael's like, I actually haven't watched that trailer yet. And so I got to watch him watch that trailer. It was so fantastic to watch him fanboy at the same times I fanboyed, and I mean, he literally was like, oh, you know, I mean, it's really good. What parts of the trailer jumped out to you? If you don't think those are spoilery.
No, I don't. Well, I don't think so because again, it's in this High Republic, and back about a year or so ago, Disney put out these books that were called the High Republic, which was, remember that for 1,000 generations, the Jedi, which for some reason has been changed to just 1,000 years. I don't understand exactly how the time works, but anyway, for about 1,000 years, the Republic, the Republic was in charge. The Jedi would go out and they'd be peacekeepers throughout the entire galaxy. And so this is called the High Republic, and they just put out the books. Well, this is the first actual movie for the High Republic, or television show for the High Republic, and it looks. I mean, it's the Jedi at the height of their power, the Republic at the height of its power. It is, and all of a sudden, when they're trying to see something's coming out, and you see this red lightsaber fly through the forest, and it's like, and then everyone, all these Jedi light up their lightsabers. There's yellow ones, there's blue ones, there's purple ones, there's green ones. I'm like, so good. So
it looks so good.
Yeah,
so good. And of course, the nerds in us know the Force, the power. The Force connection, the power of the Force that it takes to keep your lightsaber lit once it's left your hand, right? I mean, and so we're just like, who's wielding that?
Exactly. Somebody who knew what they were doing. It's not just, so I don't know what they're going to bring into it. The whole kind of idea of the High Republic was to be able to go back to, again, a time that mostly hasn't been written a lot of in the Legends stuff, because mostly it went up to the old Republic, the Jedi, the Sith Wars, but then it kind of jumped up to the Obi-Wan and Anakin. There was really not much else in between, so this is really kind of an untouched area, which I think that's why it's so perfect, because there's not a lot written about it. Mostly the Sith were gone. By this time, Darth Bane had been defeated, and the rule of two, everyone thought the Sith were gone. Yeah. So they were basically the Jedi were just basically peacekeepers. So to bring this in, I think it's going to be fantastic. It allows Disney, it allows Lucasfilm to kind of do whatever they want with it. And I'm hoping they stay true to that, because I think when Disney Star Wars works best is when they have almost a clean slate, like they did with Mandalorian. Oh, we lost your volume. Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah, very good. We need good stories.
Yes.
We need and sometimes you feel I think maybe writers feel boxed in with it's got to match back to the old story, and so if there's a way that we can create new stories, either kind of on not an alternate timeline, but meanwhile on the other side of the universe, right? Or back in the past where there hasn't been much written about. It's a fantastic slate, especially for folks like Favreau and others who love, again, people who love the content they're helping to create, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it can be so good.
And it's a galaxy. So, and we first knew it. And one thing that I will give, a lot of times I kind of bash Lucas for being kind of, especially for the prequels, and basically surrounding himself with yes men and not really creating what he really could have. I mean, the reason Empire was so great was because the story was created by Lucas, but the scripts, the directing, everything was done by other people. And so where I will give Lucas credit for is his, I will say world building, but technically galaxy building in Star Wars. The first time you walk into that cantina and you see these alien races, and you're just like, the Deveronians and the Hammerhead guy, the Ichthionians and the Rhodian Greedo, you just realize that, oh my gosh, there's this entire galaxy of beings, and they're all in this one room, but they all come from different planets, they all come from different worlds, and there's stories on those worlds. So where I will give Lucas credit is that world building, that galaxy building, and when Star Wars is done right is when they just take a bit of that galaxy that maybe no one's heard about, no one's talked about, and tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just there's a lot of great things out there. There's a lot of possibility. It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also good when I have to say, because I was reading the Legends stuff, what's called now the Legends. Back then it was just the expanded universe. And I was talking to somebody about it, but going all the way back to Splinter of the Mind's Eye by Alan Dean Foster, which was the very first expanded universe.
Right.
Yeah. And the Thrawn or the Zahn novels that were the first time we really went, we can go beyond Return of the Jedi. We can actually go on and tell even more stories. Now I understand why Disney got rid of the Legends or got rid of it, because it was so much baggage. Chewie was dead. The Yuuzhan Vong had almost devastated the galaxy. Han, Leia, Luke all had children. They were married. It was just so much baggage. So I understood that. But stuff in the past, I've loved how Disney has taken a lot of it and said, okay, well, let's just creep this stuff in. Like Thrawn, like Darth Bane, like all of these things that were like, I knew these from Legends, and now we're making them canon. I think it's genius. Like I said, I understand why they didn't want to go with some of the stuff in Legends because it's too much baggage, but they are not afraid to tap into the Legends materials.
Right. Sure. Some people, you know, and everything new hasn't been perfect by any means,
no.
right? Like, you know, Boba Fett, you know, it's so much potential and didn't go anywhere. You know, some people didn't care for Solo. I liked it on the first viewing, and I like it even more when I watch it again.
Yeah, I've seen it since then. It's actually really good.
Yeah, it does a good setup for more stories later, right? You know,
I think there was too much Star Wars burnout by the time that came out, and I think that it was more fan. I don't want to say fans because it was just it was trolls.
Yeah.
Trolls basically getting, and so attacking it way too soon. Even before it came out, they were attacking it, and so it didn't work. But you're right. I think here's the thing. I think that you're gonna have good stuff. You're gonna have your bad stuff, but you've got to keep putting out material. So the good stuff is you're not waiting too long for the, you know, I mean, Return of the Jedi came out in '83, and we didn't get anything again for 16 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, at least there is a plethora of stuff out there. So if something is not good, we can go, that's okay. In 6 months, there'll be something else.
That's right. Or I'm going to go watch Bad Batch, or I'm going to go rewatch whatever, you know, so 100%. Oh, that's part of May the 4th, and we didn't really even get to Free Comic Book Day.
No, there are some good free comics. There are some Star Wars comics coming out. There's a Doctor Who comic coming out in line for the 14th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, and May 11th is again when the new season starts on Disney Plus. We're going back into that. There's so much stuff to watch, and I just don't have enough time.
We'll have to have a report back what free comics and not free comics, you know, did you pick up on Free Comic Book Day. But one of the ones on the list, and it's supposedly, you know, here's episode 1 to wet your whistle, but is Gatchaman, which we may not know just by its name, but if I called it G-Force, Battle of the Planets.
I love G-Force. Oh my gosh.
There's a G-Force comic book coming out, and episode 1 or comic issue 1 is going to be part of Free Comic Book Day. And I have already made myself a note. I'm going to get that one, and I'm going to go get myself on the list with Buck at New World Comics of I want these when they come out.
Yeah. Is it Jason?
The first one is absolutely terrible, but I still may grab them anyway.
Jason, Princess, Mark, Keop, and Tiny.
You are awesome.
I'm not certain. I'm not certain if that's correct.
Right. It's really, really close to Keop. That is awesome.
And I might be, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I used to love Battle of the Planets. And Seven Zark 7 was their robot. Oh my gosh, where did that come from? I have no idea. I have no idea, folks. I can't even remember my sister's phone number, but I can remember that.
Nerd.
I'm a total nerd. I'm a total nerd. And why that is still in my brain, I have no idea. It's like when I figured out the Bugaloos. I was like, how is that still in my head? Or the theme song to HR Puff and stuff. I don't know. It's all still in there, and I can't get rid of it. There's only 17 episodes of HR Puff and stuff, and yet I can't,
And you knew them somehow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I get music because we listen to it in multiple rotations on the DJ's spinning them, and we're listening to them every afternoon or whatever time, and yada yada yada. And TV shows, I guess because we only had the 4 channels, 5 channels. That's true. Maybe if
that's true. I mean, Saturday mornings cartoons. Saturday you had to be up to watch Saturday morning cartoons,
which is really pretty evil. The one chance kids have to sleep in, and you're gonna, and to parents too, right? Like, how come they're not on at 2:00 in the afternoon? I don't know.
Come on. The parents loved Saturday morning cartoons. Because I could go in and turn on the television. True. I would not bother my parents at all from 6:00 in the morning until like 10:00. I'm there in front of the television and I'm watching, for 5-6 hours, So Aiden says, I'm sure Legends also contradicted itself a lot. It did, without a doubt.
With so many writers, you bet.
You're right, absolutely. Now is a great time to be a nerd. And if you really want to celebrate nerddom, come to SoonerCon in just about a month and a half. We're going to be there. Hopefully, I'm really hoping we can do some Drinks and Dragons. Hopefully, we can do some trivia. But we still got to work things out with programming. But sooner we will be there. We do know we have a table in the game room. So come see us in the game room. We'll be playing D&D. We're thinking about trying to play some Pathfinder. We might do some fun little things with some people. Come on in. Maybe we'll run some adventures. I don't know. We're going to do some AL will be there. So it's going to be fantastic. Oh my gosh. It's 8:00.
It's o'clock. Like that. I hope it went for as fast as you guys as it did for us.
Absolutely amazing. So, okay, folks, if you haven't checked out Red Dirt D&D on Wednesdays, folks, you want to catch up now. That's all I'm going to say. You want to catch up now.
You do. 100%.
So, catch up on if you're falling behind, catch up. Tell everyone else, start listening now, because stuff's about to happen. It's cool. We've got Red Dirt Outlaws on Tuesdays at noon. We have Mysteries of Beatrix, brand new. They've hit their new chapter, the new chapter.
Chapter. Right?
So we're very excited about Mysteries of Beatrix on Wednesday night. There's lots of good stuff going on there.
It's a great time to jump in. If you're like, I don't want to catch it. Jump in right now. Last week's episode, this week's episode, due to scheduling of life, and you have to make money so you can do the fun things, they're going to be off for a couple of weeks. But plug in to last week's episode and this week's episode of Mysteries of Beatrix.
Exactly.
And I think you can find that just by clicking a couple tabs over right here.
That's right. Just hit the video, the video live videos on this tab. And of course, we're now on the Red Dirt D&D is also on the YouTubes here, so the podcast. So catch up on those. Boy, what a great conversation. So we're going to see you guys in 2 weeks. You've been listening to Plausible Deniability. I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Brooke Bullock. We'll try to find Johnny Payne.
We'll make sure he shows up next time. So you guys take care. Goodbye.
Yeah.